What's up, everyone? On January 3rd, 2026, the United States did something that, honestly, shocked the entire world. They launched over 150 airstrikes on Venezuela and captured their sitting president, Nicolás Maduro, right on his own soil. This is no doubt the most controversial military operation since the raid that killed Osama bin Laden, and the internet is absolutely divided about it. In this video, I'm going to break down everything: how we got here, what exactly happened, the death toll, international reactions, and what happens next. This is wild, so make sure you hit that subscribe button because trust me, this story is far from over. Alright, let's start with the backstory. So, how did we get to a point where the US is invading another country? Nicolás Maduro has been Venezuela's president since 2013, after Hugo Chavez died. Under his leadership, Venezuela has been in complete chaos. We're talking hyperinflation, a collapsed economy, and millions of people fleeing the country. The US has always had a tense relationship with Venezuela, especially over oil, but here's where it gets interesting. In 2020, during Trump's first term, the US charged Maduro with narco-terrorism, basically accusing him of running a massive drug trafficking operation called Cartel de los Soles that was flooding cocaine into America. They even offered a $15 million bounty for his capture. By August 2025, that bounty jumped to $50 million. Starting in September 2025, Trump began a military buildup in the Caribbean, the biggest in generations. The US sent warships, fighter jets, submarines, and about 6,000 troops. They started bombing boats they claimed were carrying drugs from Venezuela, killing over 115 people in 35 strikes. Then in December, they seized Venezuelan oil tankers and even conducted a CIA drone strike inside Venezuela. The escalation was honestly insane, and it all led to January 3rd, 2026. So here's exactly what went down. The operation was called Operation Absolute Resolve, and it had been secretly planned for months. On Friday night, January 2nd, at 10:46 p.m. Eastern Time, Trump gave the final green light. Around 2 a.m. Venezuela time on Saturday, explosions rocked Caracas. More than 150 U.S. aircraft, including F-35 fighter jets, bombed military installations, government buildings, and even the legislative palace across northern Venezuela. U.S. helicopters flew in at just 100 feet above the water to avoid detection. At 2:01 a.m., they touched down at Maduro's compound at Fuerte Tiuna, Venezuela's largest military base. Within 30 minutes, U.S. forces captured Maduro and his wife, Celia Flores. We don't know if there was a firefight or if they surrendered. The details are still classified. By 4:29 a.m., just 2.5 hours later, Maduro was on board the USS Iwo Jima aircraft carrier headed to New York. Trump even posted a photo on Truth Social showing Maduro blindfolded in a gray tracksuit. But here's the devastating part. According to Venezuelan officials, at least 80 people were killed in the strikes, both civilians and military personnel. Cuba reported that 32 of their military members who were in Venezuela also died. A 3-story apartment building in Katia Lamar was hit, killing and injuring civilians inside. By Saturday evening, Maduro landed in New York and was taken to a federal detention center in Brooklyn. He's facing charges of narco-terrorism, cocaine trafficking, and conspiracy. His court appearance is scheduled for Monday, January 5th, which is today as I'm recording this. Now let's talk about how the world reacted, because this is where it gets really messy. In the United States, Democrats are furious. Senator Tim Kaine said this is completely illegal because Trump didn't get congressional approval. Senator Bernie Sanders called it dangerous and accused Trump of bypassing Congress to start a war. Even former Vice President Kamala Harris condemned it. But Republicans? They're celebrating. They're calling Maduro a narco-terrorist and praising Trump for being tough. Senate Majority Leader John Thune said Congress will be briefed when they return from recess. Internationally, the world is divided. The UN Secretary General called it a dangerous precedent and scheduled an Emergency Security Council meeting for today, Monday. China said they're deeply shocked and called it a violation of international law. Russia condemned it. Colombia, Cuba, Mexico, Chile, Brazil, all condemned it as aggression against Latin America. But here's the twist: some leaders supported it. Argentina's President Javier Milei praised it as a victory for freedom. El Salvador's Bukele signaled support. In Miami, Venezuelan migrants literally danced in the streets celebrating Maduro's capture. Meanwhile, in Times Square, Hundreds of protesters chanted "Hands off Venezuela" and "No blood for oil." Colombia is already deploying troops to their border, preparing for a refugee crisis. This has the entire region on edge. So what's next? That's the million-dollar question. Trump said the U.S. will run Venezuela until there's a proper transition, but Venezuela's Vice President Delcy Rodriguez has been sworn in as acting president by their Supreme Court, and she's demanding Maduro's immediate release. Here's where it gets complicated. Trump initially praised the opposition leader Maria Corina Machado, who won the Nobel Peace Prize in 2025, but then said she doesn't have enough support to lead the country. Instead, he suggested working with Rodriguez, who's been a Maduro loyalist. That confused everyone. Trump also said U.S. oil companies will go into Venezuela to tap their massive oil reserves, which, by the way, are some of the largest in the world. He claimed Venezuela stole this oil from America, even though Venezuela nationalized their oil industry back in 1976. Legal experts are calling this a clear violation of international law and the UN Charter. The big question is, will other countries actually do anything about it, or will they just condemn it and move on? And remember, Trump has hinted that Cuba and Nicaragua might be next. So this could just be the beginning. This is one of the most significant U.S. military interventions since Panama in 1989. We're watching history unfold in real time, and nobody knows how this ends. Maduro appears in court today, and that UN Security Council meeting is happening today. So we're going to get a lot more answers very soon. Before you go, I need to know, and this is where you come in. Drop your answer in the comments. Do you think the U.S. was justified in capturing Maduro as a narco-terrorist? Or did Trump just violate international law and set a dangerous precedent? Seriously, I want to hear from both sides. Let's have a civil discussion in the comments, and if you want to stay updated on what happens next, because this story is blowing up, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I'll be breaking down the court hearing and the UN response as soon as it happens. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.